we can survive and thrive on almost anything you throw at us, depending on genetic capacity, depending on just your underlying wiring. It almost doesn't matter in terms of macronutrition.
I mean, what should people be eating? You know, like that's a huge question, right? But
Yeah.
it seems like it should be so simple. Like, what the hell are we supposed to eat to be healthy?
That is a great question, and I love that question because the answer to it gets so many people mad.
Right.
Okay, there is a wide margin of it doesn't matter
Okay.
in terms of what people should eat. You look at populations across the globe, and you see communities eating extremely different sets of foods. Even macronutritionally, carbohydrate, protein, fat is just drastically different across different geographical locations.
Right.
And this is the thing with humans. The thing with humans is this. We are almost just like dogs, but even more resilient and even more impervious to adverse effects of different foods. Like you feed a dog chocolate, and that can be deadly.
Yeah, they're gonna have
for a
some
dog.
problems. Yeah.
We humans, barring allergies, barring intolerances, which make up, a minority of the population, we can survive and thrive on almost anything you throw at us. And depending on genetic capacity, depending on just your underlying wiring, it almost doesn't matter in terms of macronutrition. So like high carb, low fat, high carb, that stuff literally doesn't matter unless you are engaged in certain sports that have very specific demands for high intensity work output.
Right.
Then it matters. But if you're talking about the general population, it honest to God doesn't matter if one guy is keto and he likes it and the other guy is like, Pritikin level and he loves it, the high carb, low fat thing. What does matter among those two camps is, are you getting enough protein daily in order to support lean body mass? Are you getting enough total calories to support your activity requirements? And those two together, it's like, are you getting enough of those things and not too much of those things to the degree that you are accumulating excess body fat?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it honestly doesn't matter. Now, let me qualify that a little bit. It is entirely possible to create a diet that compromises your health and longevity. You can create a diet where, for example, a high-carb diet where all of your carbohydrate sources just from straight-ahead table sugar, straight out of the jar.
Yeah.
Okay, that's obviously not a good idea. So there's something to be said about whole foods and minimally refined foods with respect to a couple things. Number one, their nutrient density.
Okay.
So you can eat a crappy enough diet to the degree that you actually are deficient in essential micronutrition, even if you're fine in macronutrition. And then the other issue with eating a highly refined diet or ultra-processed diets, you miss out on the satiety factor. So satiety is, in a nutshell, it's your body's ability to feel satisfied or full and not just wanting to eat through the whole pantry.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there are those things to take into account when I say that it doesn't freaking matter. When I say it doesn't freaking matter, I mainly mean high carb versus low carb.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you say, so I mean, everybody gets into the protein debate, and you say to maintain lean body mass. What does that look like for your average individual? How much per gram per either kilogram or pound?
Yeah, the protein question is something that's been investigated for the last 50 years, and we're going to keep investigating it because that's how we are. We need something to do. It's a first world problem,
Right.
So with protein, the scientific consensus, which I was fortunate enough to be a part of when we did it was Rob Morton and Stu Phillips and a bunch of other good bros. We did a meta-analysis on the amount of protein that would be ideal for building muscle. So, and this is building muscle within a non-dieting condition. Okay, so it's not hypocaloric conditions where you're eating less than you're burning for the purpose of weight loss.
Yep.
We only included studies that were at minimum eucaloric or at maintenance weight maintenance levels, weight maintenance to slight surplus.
Mm-hmm.
So we looked at all the relevant studies, and we found that about 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight is the sweet spot. So
Okay.
in American terms, that's 0.7 grams per pound, 0.7 grams per pound of body weight would be kind of like the sweet spot
Right.
to maintain or even gain lean body mass,
Yep.
protein-wise.
Does it matter what type of sources that people are getting, whether it's, protein powders or plant-based or pea protein or whey protein or casein or whatever the hell?
Yeah, these are good questions because they have the most complicated answers,
Right.
man. Generally speaking, animal protein sources are better than plant protein sources.
Okay.
And this is because they're a higher quality of protein. And the most reasonable definition of protein quality is its percentage of essential amino acids. And also, within those essential amino acids, you have the key anabolic amino acids being the branched chain amino acids. Then within the branched chains, you have that key driver being leucine. And so when you look at animal protein sources versus plant protein sources, the plant protein sources are going to generally be a lot lower in essential amino acids,
Okay.
and lower in the BCAAs and lower in leucine.
Right.
Now, I have to throw in a little wrinkle there, because when you score protein in the different quality rankings, we're mainly looking at composition of the protein, amino acid-wise. And there are some other ways to look at protein rankings, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so what there is not enough research of is comparing head-to-head different proteins on their effects on body composition.
Okay.
And let alone different proteins' effects on body composition under conditions where people are training, resistance training preferably. So there's some interesting and as yet unreplicated research on pea protein, showing that it is able to keep up with whey protein
Really?
for increasing muscle thickness in this particular study. And so that kind of raised some eyebrows, and yeah, we can quibble over the design of the study and all that, but it kind of gave rise to the possibility that even though a protein is plant-based, it may have some magic to it that may be able to run with the big boys like whey.
Okay.
So yeah, I would say generally speaking, animal proteins are superior, but there could be some exceptions.